But it kind of reminds me of a potato pancake. Just a little bit in its texture and
the
its
yam
flavor.
that you're tasting, plus the root from burdock. It has that peculiar taste to it.
This is right up my alley. This is trout. This is locally.
Right, local trout.
Yep. Now it's on a board.
Right, cedar board.
Cedar board. Now this board is damp and it feels heavy.
Right. We've had this board soaking for about 3 days.
3 days.
What we've done, we've taken in the lake, we put a rock on top and simply left it there. And what happens is it saturates with water. Now we place the fish. You notice how we cut it in half. Yep. And we put some spicing in here. We put some wintergreen.
Wintergreen, I know that one.
We can take some sumac.
Now why the sumac?
Well, the sumac, when it's rubbed in, gives it a nice tangy taste, just like lemon.
Oh, good.
So it'll give it that tanginess. And what we're going to do, we're going to take the entire fish.
Okay.
We're going to put some tin foil on top. We're going to hold it down with some stones. And what you're going to do is carefully put it on the grate right here.
Now the tin foil is going to trap the heat.
Right. Not only
keep the flies off.
Right. Well, it'll trap the heat, but it'll also going to keep all the moisture inside. So in essence, what we're doing, we're going to be steaming that fish.
Oh, okay.
So we're not really broiling it, we're steaming it.
So you can have that.
I'm gonna collect that. Good. And what about the pickerel weed behind you?
Yeah, this is another nice plant. The leaves are really tender, especially when you get them in young. And you can trim those off and they make a nice salad green. So we can actually collect some of these and put it into our salad. Okay.
We don't want to over collect though, right? Even though it looks like there's a lot of them out here, we don't want to over harvest?
That's right. You never want to completely over harvest one specific area. So you might take a few leaves from here, go to another patch down the creek there and get some more from there. And that way you're leaving some in the different areas.
And I noticed you've got scissors there. Is there a certain method of taking that leaf off so it can regrow?
Yeah, either with scissors or a knife. You want to have a nice clean cut and that'll promote the regrowth of the new leaves. If you just rip it off, it makes a very jagged edge and it won't regrow quite as well.
You may want to use your glove hand to hold on to.
There you go. You've got a clean hand.
To hold on to your frying pan.
After I put it in the pan like this, Gino, now we have to burn one side of it?
Yes, what you're going to do, you're going to bake the one side until it hardens. Okay. And we're going to flip it over and we're going to put the condiments. We're going to put the cheese,
the pepperoni, all the good stuff on it.
All right.
Now, that looks good.
Put lots on. Yep. Lots.
Now, this is something that somebody does not expect to enjoy when they're out in the wilderness.
That's it. You know, I always wanted to open up my own pizzeria.
Your own pizzeria?
Like Gino. And you got the lid.
Yep.
Put it back on. And in 5 minutes, it'll be ready. 5 minutes.
Natural Resources has determined a need for rehabilitating a very important species of fish in Lake Ontario, the lake trout. Now we're standing here next to these large raceways that contain the mature lake trout. What is the purpose of keeping these mature lake trout?
Well, these particular fish are a strain of lake trout. They're the Seneca lake trout strain. Lake trout were native to Lake Ontario, but pretty well disappeared about 50 years ago because of a number of problems, overfishing, water quality problems. In the case of Lake Ontario, we stock 4 different strains of lake trout.
Why deal with fish from different areas?
By stocking 4 different strains, which are genetically different and which have different characteristics, different appearances, we're hoping that they have different adaptive behavior that will allow them to not only survive but also reproduce under the changing conditions of Lake Ontario.
Camping shouldn't necessarily be limited to just summer or fall. Setting up a campsite in winter can be a lot of fun if it's done properly. This time out, Rob and Tracy wanted to see what it's like to spend a couple of days winter camping using gear that's typical of the 1800s. Once again, Gino Ferry and his crew of survival experts gave us a lesson on beating the elements, and we had a great time doing it.
We're going to be doing something a little different than we did in our past. We're going to be looking at something called traditional winter camping. Now you're going to notice that the tent that we're using is not like anything that's used today. You're going to notice that this is a big tent. It's made out of heavy-duty canvas and it's heated on the inside. we're going to look at winter camping as it was done 100 years ago.
Yep.
On the other hand, you're going to also notice that a lot of these skills that are utilized, a lot of the topics that we're going to cover are still applicable today.
So what you have right here, this is called a blanket coat or a capote.
Okay.
This is made out of a Hudson's Bay blanket.
All right, yeah.
And it's called a 4-point blanket. And it's because we have these 4 lines on here. This is what's making reference to the 4 points.
Okay.
And back in those days, that just meant that the blanket was worth 4 beaver pelts. That's how they'd pay for it.
Oh, really? Wow.
So the blanket itself is all wool.
Yep.
Most of the clothing they would have been wearing was all wool.
Yeah.
As well
very
as
heavy.
That's right, as well as the pants I'm wearing
Okay.
are wool as well. The reason why we want to wear wool, it has excellent insulative properties.
Yeah.
It can get wet and it'll still keep you very warm. This is just a sash that they wore called a ceinture flèche.
Okay.
And that'll just go around your waist. But a good thing that they use these for is when they're transporting all these heavy goods around in the winter on the sleds, by wearing that around your waist, it gives a little more support to your back.
Oh, like a back brace, kind of like a little
Right.
bit. Okay.
Right, exactly.
Oh, great.
Here we have some mucklucks. These are actually made out of caribou leather.
Okay.
And then with a canvas upper as well.
Great.
So we'll put you in those with a little insulative liner inside.
Yeah, good.
And send you off on your snowshoes.
Well, I'll go get into my clothing here and then I can try my hand at some of the old-time camping activities.
Excellent.
Excellent. Thanks, Kevin.